So I'm Tom Geisel. I teach chemistry at College of the Canyons. We've been working with Adapt and LibreText for a few years now, and we've made lots of progress. And I'm going to share kind of the things that we've been going through. This is going to be kind of loosey-goosey kind of presentation. So if you have any questions, please make sure and ask. And I'll just jump right into my slides, and I'll go back and forth and talk about some things. So let me see, share my screen. Just to start off with though, everybody can hear me? Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, so real quick, the making an introductory general chemistry course, ZTC. So that's kind of what we've done, and that's what I'm going to share. It wasn't really the goal when we started, but this is what we ended up with, and I'm really happy about it. So this is at College of the Canyons. So introductory chemistry, it's the CID Chem 101. So that first semester, or actually it's not even first semester general chemistry. It's like a preparatory chemistry course for the general chem. So real quick, why is it important? So our introductory chemistry course is called Chem 151. So at College of the Canyons, it's Chem 151, it's preparatory general chemistry. It's a 4-unit course that focuses on the skills and objectives needed to be successful in general chemistry, microbiology, anatomy, and physiology. In fact, I believe when the course was first started, it was considered like a replacement or a jump from like a year of high school chemistry. It's like the replacement for that. But if you didn't have high school chemistry, things like that. But I think now it's taken on more of a goal to be to help students be prepared for being successful in general chemistry and then microbiology, anatomy, and physiology. It's by far our largest chemistry course offering. It's like double the size of our regular Gen Chem offerings. That is in part due to the fact that most health science majors, for example, or people want to go into nursing or lab tech or dental hygienist, things like that. This is the course that they'll take before they go on to finish out their other STEM courses, and then apply for their associative or associated degrees or fields. Um, that means as a very diverse student population compared to like the just general STEM students who come through, like engineers and chemists and physicists and things like that. Because we'll have a lot of students coming back in from later on. They have been working for a while or something like that. They'll come back and want to, returning students will want to get their nursing degree or something like that, and so we have to meet the needs of a lot of different types of students. And so we wanted to make this course as open and as accessible as we could. And so we wanted to switch, and one big thing of that is cost. So by switching into these OER materials, we calculated we could save, more than $120,000 per year to all of our students who take the class based on the amount of sections and the number of students in the sections. I can't see the chat. Let me just pull this up in case somebody types in there. I don't think this has anything to do with me. Okay. Uh, so then our timeline for converting the course to ZTC. I want to point out that this was definitely not planned from the beginning. We didn't say, oh, we're going to make this course ZTC. These are the steps we're going to take. It was a bit by bit, like, oh, we should look at our textbook and see about making it OER and what does it need? What do we need to do that? And then, we were thinking about the homework system separately. So it wasn't like this straightforward. It takes, 3 years to get this done. It was, definitely a separate, timeline for each one. We weren't, I'm sure you can get this done much quicker if you had this goal in mind. But this is what we did. Our timeline was first we wanted to generate and implement the textbook. So we created OER textbooks in fact, for 3 of our chemistry classes at College of the Canyons. And so, that took a while. There was a group of faculty, and it was about a year for us to get through the generation of those three textbooks. And then at the time, we looked at the homework that we had that we've been using for those textbooks, and we had thought about having just regular paper questions at the end of the text kind of thing. And then we had been using an online homework system that that you had to pay for. And we started investigating the idea of using some type of OER homework system. In particular, we were drawn to ADAPT because we had made our textbooks through LibreText. But we identified a problem with that because a lot of our questions we weren't able to find a large bank of questions that would be useful to us for intro chem. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we identified that need, and then so we set about trying to, or me and several faculty set about trying to fix that need. And then this year we've been testing and implementing this new homework system, those new homework questions that we've developed, along with other questions that are available, and started using ADAPT. And in fact, I've used ADAPT the last couple semesters, or at least the spring and the summer sessions, and it's going quite well. And so I'm very happy to announce that we're going to be rolling out with that homework system, and therefore making all of our Chem 151 courses ZTC for the fall of this year. So, how would you share your screen? How you integrated ZTT into Canvas? Yes. Was there an attempt to have the design consistent between the chem classes? Yeah. Let me answer that a little bit later, and I'll talk about that. Thank you, Martin. Okay. So first, our textbook.
Tom, are
Yes.
you cycling through slides, or is it just basically the front slide? Because that's
Oh,
always,
I'm
yeah.
cycling through. I'm sorry, you
Oh,
guys
okay.
can't see.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I apologize. Okay. So this is the slide I was talking about, what Chem 151 is. Um, and then here was just the timeline I was going over. Is everybody okay with that now? Like, I'm sorry, I feel like that. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So then to talk about the textbook, and then I will come back to implementing the OER materials. And let me just talk about the materials a little bit first. So our OER textbook that we built is we had this idea that we wanted to build these OER textbooks, and so this was our plan of attack. And so in fall of 2001, we just started putting this idea together. We built a remix map. We created a draft of the text, and then worked on that text for over the spring and the summer of 2022, and then in the fall we actually had full adoption of that text. I was going to bring up the text here, and I'll talk about it in general. So let me do new share. I hope this works. Good. Oops. I don't know if that's working. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so this is the textbook we created for 151. And just like Delmar was saying, and I'm sure you guys went over yesterday, maybe a little bit. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we created a 14 chapter textbook for 151 using the remix. And we divided the chapters into sections. A lot of the information we were able to pull from other sources, and I want to thank all the authors that were out there that had material out there that we used. And it went very smoothly, and we had to customize it for our students, but besides that, it went really well. A lot of the software and things have worked really well, and it went really quickly. So those of you who are thinking about doing this should look into it. I know there's a lot of resources, and they're adding more all the time. And just to show you the College of the Canyons, the three courses that we generated are here. And so this is the prep course. Let me see. I was going to highlight some things, and I forgot what they were. Um, but yeah, so as you can see, there's some in-text questions, but we didn't have a lot of like homework type questions available at the time. And so when we wrote these, we had um, our material, but we were debating on whether to write actual just homework questions for the students in the textbook, or look into other options. And that's kind of what led us to our next step in the ladder, or step in our timeline. So let me see. I lost my screen. So that new share. So you were asking about how did we implement our ZTC or OER materials. Um, and I think I should be back to the slides. So for that part, I am the coordinator for Chem 151. Um, so I put together the materials for everybody, and I shared it with all our faculty. Yes, they have the option of not using the material if they don't want. I made the material available we have like a Canvas shell that's open to all the faculty, and I would post links to that Canvas shell for the textbook. We had the textbook available in the bookstore for very nominal cost. I mean, it does have some cost if you want to buy the printed copy, but we did have printed copies available in the bookstore. Um, and the and everybody seemed on board with it. We didn't have any trouble with switching over from our previously paid textbook into this free OER textbook that all our students use. We're still working on it. As we build up the textbook, we get feedback, and we find typos and things like that as time goes on. And that's one of the awesome things about having this platform, is that we can make those changes and not just corrections, but changes as we feel like we can add new material, add new idea, concepts and things like that. So it's been really nice. I do want to make sure I point out that this project was Raina Akel, Patricia Foley, myself, and Tara Williams at College of the Canyons were the ones who put those three textbooks together. So as I said, after building those textbooks, we identified the need for having practice for our students. So we wanted some kind of homework system, and we were researching different OER online homework problems, and we ran into the issue of that we couldn't find a bunch of questions that fit our criteria. So there are a lot of chemistry questions. Like and they're getting larger. The bank of questions out there has grown in the last 2 years, in a huge amount. But at the time, we did not see a lot of questions that fit intro chemistry, so introductory chemistry. There were a lot of material from like not LibreText, I'm sorry, uh, Orange Book. A lot of materials out there from
Flat World.
OpenStax and things like that, where they have some questions available there. But we didn't have, the same types of questions or the same materials that we needed. So for example, in introductory chemistry, at least in our courses, we don't teach expanded octets or the Born-Haber cycle or, molecular orbital theory. So these are just topics that are kind of are not in our introductory chemistry class, which would be in a general or general chemistry class. And so we felt like we needed to produce more questions in order to create a homework system. So that's when we went to the ASCCC, and I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's the California Community College Association. I maybe Delmar knows, but we got a project funded to help us produce those homework questions. So it's a development of an online homework library to support the introductory chemistry courses. So we project entailed envisioning, writing, and programming auto-graded questions to support the course. Thank you very much. So the Academic Senate of California Community Colleges. Yep, open education resources. Thank you. And ensuring all the questions were accessible and aligned with the idea framework. So with that, we knew what we wanted. We wanted to use an online, we wanted to generate an online homework system, give our students extra practice, get just-in-time feedback. So in order to do that, we needed auto-graded problems. So they would be answered immediately. They would get their feedback at that point. And then we would also want to have algorithmic problems, just due to the fact that there's so many sources out there that allow students to, we want to give them as much practice as we can, as well as to eliminate some of the problems that can occur with having questions available that don't change, like JEG and things like that. So what we decided to do is there were a couple of platforms that were able to have both auto-graded problems and algorithmic problems, but we realized that we didn't realize that one of the instructors that were with us in the project had a lot of experience using MyOpenMath. And so we decided to utilize that platform to generate our questions and convert it into the ADAPT system. So that was our goal. We had how many faculty? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 faculty, including myself, from a variety of institutions, got together under this project, and we set about creating a homework system or homework problems for introductory chemistry that was both auto-graded and algorithmic to some extent. Some problems, don't lend itself to being algorithmic, but as much as we could, we tried to add those options. So it was awesome. I wanted to go back and actually show you a couple things. So share. Okay. So these are the actual libraries that we generated with that project. I just wanted to share it with you because this is open OER, it's open on Canvas, and so you guys can always, or anybody can go on and find these questions for themselves. The course title is Introduction to Chemistry, and then it has a CID Chem 101. So if you just search for that course when you're looking for questions, or if you're looking to, for courses, we have all these courses available. At the minimum, we wanted at least 20 questions per library, but for most of the libraries, we had well over 20 questions. And these are just, a lot of them are algorithmic. Some of them are straight from the native, there's a variety of technologies that we used, but the largest one by far was the iMathAS, or the MyOpenMath software, which allowed that auto-graded and algorithmic responses. Okay. And so if you have any wonder, what does the iMathAS or MyOpenMath questions look like? Here's just a view of what they look like. This took some work just because if you're not familiar with the code, it can get complicated, but once you practice with it, it was pretty easy. But there are a lot of questions out there available for things like this as well. And all this, the licensing is all, I think it's CC by as well. Okay. So this is 2020. So this is late last year. is when we finished up this that project, and we had our question bank, and then so we decided to implement it. And so I set about curating questions for my courses. So, we had 14 homework sets that corresponded to my 14 chapters in my textbook. I assigned those to my students for the summer. You can link them directly from LibreText to Canvas so that the grades will transfer over. And then that went very smoothly. I made adjustments to assignments, as feedback came in, but I received lots of positive remarks from my students. They seemed happy with it. And I want to thank Miles Silverman and Raina Akel for testing it with me this summer. And they said the setup was fairly easy. They didn't have any trouble. It was fairly quick. I just made a little document showing them how to set up their courses. And I can show you those with, what that library look like now. So this is the LibreText Adapt course that I had set up for this summer. You can see a lot of it's closed now, but a lot of the great properties about it is that we've made updates to things like the regrader, and I don't know if you've already shown things like this, Delmar. I was just going to show how you can adjust grades on a large scale, and then the Open Grader allows you to look at individual submissions and check the work and see how things are going. This was extremely useful to us as we were doing more and more questions. I was trying to find an algorithmic question, but I don't think there's many for this chapter. And so you can have uh, uh, and so, this is the idea behind algorithmic questions. When we have different submissions, we can change the formulas and the numbers, and that can be helpful to us, as well as if we go back, it will have different, different values, and different students will have different amounts and things like that. So that was one of the things we thought were really important for these types of homework assignments. I'm out of time. So last things. So now we're zero textbook costs. How are we going to implement that? So once that we had both the textbook and the online homework system as OER, I went to the school and I had to register it with a few people. But once we did that, we had both of them as zero textbook costs. I think the only thing the class costs now is goggles. We don't have goggles that we give out. So, but those can be fairly cheaply bought. It used to be the 99-cent store that doesn't exist, but and we have some that are cheap that we that are available on campus. But besides that, that's I think the max cost for the class. And as you can see, it's now labeled as it has this little mark for ZTC. I'm really excited about this. And I really hope that this will help, improve the experience our students have with this. They're more likely to take it. As I said, we have a very diverse student body, especially for this class. I know all community colleges do, but, introductory chemistry more so because it's not an endpoint class. We can, you get a lot of people branching off into other fields like I said, nursing, dental hygienists, things like that. And LibreText Adapt is great. It large body of and types of questions. There's lots of different technologies work with it. iMathAS, WebWorks, H5P and native. I don't think we used any H5P in our assessments, or in our library, but they're all there. The native was particularly important for us. So being able to easily write questions, and these could just be multiple choice or, mix and match, fill in the blank, number, answer, those general type of questions that you normally see on like Canvas. They're available on Adapt and they're easy to create. And so if there's any gaps you feel like, were in your material that you want to quickly fill in, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be algorithmic, but it allows you to ask those kinds of questions really easily to give them practice on certain concepts that you feel need that extra um, push. There's lots of ways I didn't show you, but lots of ways of setting up and grading the assessments. Scale the points and due dates and things like that. That was very nice. There's always adding more features, and you're adding in uh, um, taking ideas and feedback from us. And it's been a pleasure working with everybody. So I wanted to give lots of thanks to Delmar and Eric and David and everybody at Sarah, everybody at LibreText for all your help. We couldn't do this without you. I feel like, having this course is a big step forward for, at least for us, because we can show that it can work for the sciences. And I'm hoping now, at least at our school, more people on board with being able to try this and to do this. So that's kind of where I left off. Sorry, I felt like I got a little flustered, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Oh, I wanted to go back and answer your questions a little bit in more detail, Martin. Um, so how you integrated ZTC into Canvas. So what did you mean particularly there? What do you mean by integrating ZTC into Canvas? You mean by the adapt questions into Canvas, or were you thinking more along the lines of um, uh,
Well, one of the things that I'm trying to wrap my head around is once I develop materials in LibreText, I already have a course developed in Canvas. And so the integration of the materials students will access in LibreText, what's the most seamless way for them to access it while staying as much as they can in the Canvas environment? And I guess that leads me to the next question to you. Are you developing this class completely to be delivered through LibreText environment?
so for myself, I'm not.
Okay.
So the for I'll answer your question, and maybe Delmar can go in more detail. But for us, like I know the textbook can be inserted directly into Canvas. You can link like chapters into pages in Canvas. I know I've had some of my colleagues do that. I just give them a link to the textbook, and so they can, I'll say we're going to do chapter 3, and I'll link chapter 3's. Just take the web address link and post it in Canvas, and they can go and just click on the link. It'll take them directly to that page. I could also have the page show up in Canvas. I know that there's you can integrate it more into Canvas so they never have to leave the Canvas system, but we don't. But I don't particularly do that. As far as also for the homework for like these adapt questions, it's a link that will open up a new page and take you from the Canvas page into the adapt page. So it links up between the two, but it's not directly embedded in Canvas. I believe there is a way to do that, Delmar, but I haven't looked into that because what we've been doing has been working for us.
Yes. So you can certainly insert a URL anywhere in the world to your book, including obvious Canvas. So you can download textbooks on our platform via Create Common Cartridge, and then embed them into uh, Canvas as modules. So they show up more native. I'll be honest, I don't tend to like the idea of reading via the LMS because it's just too distracting. And I like to actually strip everything away. That's one of the reasons why we have this reader view option on the pages that just kind of strips everything away except for what you need in order to read. And similarly, Tom mentioned about the way you integrate adapt into Canvas is that it provides what's called a deep link. So you click on it and then it goes out as an external tool in order to provide it. We can embed it into Canvas. We had a few issues in terms of how to set that thing up. But I believe there's a solution around that. We just need to figure out exactly how to make it work in Canvas. So you can make it fully integrated into Canvas and you don't even know that LibreText exists. And many people don't know that LibreText exists. And many students and still use it perfectly fine via their LMS, which is their preference, of course.
Martin?
Can I ask one follow-up? Are there plans to have maybe design trainings uh, to go with what we're learning right now in terms of how to, I guess, best practices when it comes to um, the marriage of the different types of LMSs and open source materials?
Uh, We've not actually implemented, assuming you're talking to me and not Tom, we haven't actually implemented any sort of best practices for that because I'm not entirely sure that there are best practices. Different people do it in different ways, and I'm not convinced that one way is superior to the other than what I prefer, which many people don't prefer, which is not to read the content in the LMS. Obviously, the LMS people push that as the opposite of what we think. We're receptive to that idea. We'll be talking about a little bit after the break in terms of integrating Adapt into Canvas. But there's very little design work that you have involved in that. One of the things that we will expand, adapt in the near future, and we're working on doing this with the Maricopa Community College District, is to make it so you can make a a common cartridge and entry in Canvas Commons. It has not just your textbook, but your homework, and any point that you can download it, and it will automatically sync up, so you don't have to create the course dynamically and couple it together and things like that. That'll make more sense a little bit later on. That's out there. But if you have any other suggestions that you'd like us to be able to address, please let us know. We're receptive to new ideas and new topics.